Welcome back. Now, there was a bill for an act to amend the provisions of the National Health Act 2014 to regulate international trips for medical treatment by public officers that was rejected by members of the House of Representatives. So basically, in layman's language, it was supposed to stop government officials from going abroad to take Panadol or whatever medication they needed to take. And it was not passed. The National Assembly rejected that bill, and a lot of Nigerians were very disappointed. But I have here with me Bola Dali Adekoya to help us talk about this. Thanks for being here today. Now, that's one of the biggest criticisms Mr. President has gotten. You know, we believed, or there was a belief in 2014, 2015 when he was running for office that he was going to be a lot more, you know, Nigerian, especially in those terms. But he's sought treatment abroad quite a few times, sometimes allegedly because he travels and we don't necessarily know what he's in London for. But there's been some disappointment from Nigerians saying that, okay, you said you were one of us, you said you were going to improve all of these sectors. The health minister in particular seems to be one of the biggest disappointments in this government. What do you think this, you know, this rejection of this bill means to Nigeria?
Well, to start with, I remember vividly when President Muhammadu Buhari was campaigning in 2015, and one of the highlights of his campaign was that medical tourism must stop in Nigeria, that we must ensure that our health sector is properly reformed to be able to take care of our public office holders, or even individual, in Nigeria as well, who is sick or needs health care. And when he came into office, he was sworn in May 2029, 2015. In July, he was already out of the country for air infection, air treatment. Then later, he went in December. Then later, he left in January. He used the month in January. Then later, I think he left in May or so. He used 3 months up to around August before he came back. And that's the longest ever in the history of any president in this country. And when that started, it was glaring that what he said then during the campaign was merely a political declaration. And now when the bill was sent to the House of Representatives, naturally, to me, I did not really think that House of Representatives can pass the bill, to be pragmatic. Because it's like you telling a cat to guide your fish. It might be a bit ironical. But if you look at the details of that bill, it might look funny, but it's actually part of the things we need to move forward in this country. It is not really about stopping public office holders from seeking medical care. What the bill stated was that they should get authorization before they seek medical care abroad, where payments will be made from the public purse.
But that was also the argument of some of these National Assembly members saying that, well, when they seek medical treatment, it's actually them paying for it, so we can't tell them what to do with their own money. Is there any proof?
If any public officers, if they are elected this time around or appointed, either at the state level or the federal level, leaves this country, they are being paid Estaco allowance. They are being paid Estaco.
When they go on their private trips.
When they go on the... Now, I want to ask you, when there's a rumor before this woman died, Dora Quinley died, the NAFDAC DG. Before she died, there was a rumor around that health challenge where she was diagnosed in Nigeria and she went abroad, and they said, okay, when she got there, she got the treatment and she had to ask for a refund. Because usually that's what they give you. You ask for a refund of the amount you spent over there. And while others were writing, were inflating the prices, she wrote exactly the amount she spent there. So to a large extent, this is one of the milking process of the public purse.
Is it fair to judge Mr. President, considering the fact that, I mean, the decay in the health sector didn't start today. A lot of the federal medical centers and teaching hospitals we have been run down for decades, and we don't expect that it's going to be fixed overnight. Is it fair to expect him to also go to these places and get treatment when these things didn't start decaying today? What do we expect him to do? Especially when we don't know what is wrong with him because we've never really heard directly what has been diagnosed. But what if there's no treatment for that here? Okay,
well, let's start with that. Most of the ailments that our public office holders usually claim that they go abroad for are things that can be treated in Nigeria. Most of it. So for us to believe that what they do go is because, why they do go majorly is because they feel they will get a better system over there. And why they are killing the system over here in Nigeria I will not blame President Muhammadu Buhari to 2015, the state of Nigerian health system 2015. Though you might also blame him because he has also served as a former president or head of state. But the fact remains that successive government has not really done much in the health sector. And you cannot put the blame on him for meeting that sector the way it is. However, from 2015 till now, what significant thing has taken place in the Nigerian health sector? The American tourism has even increased. So to a large extent, it looks like there are people who don't really care. They don't really care about the well-being of Nigerians. I was discussing something before I came on board now. The NHIS, which is being funded by the government, is one of the most ridiculous health schemes in this country. It is better if you love yourself and you love your health. Most times, it's better for you to go to the private sector run HMO. Because there's even this segregation in hospitals when you present yourself as an NHIS holder. There's a separate department for you because they believe they pay stipends. Yeah. And abroad, the health insurance system scheme abroad is one of the most robust and most effective.
What are you expecting? What are you expecting in the next 4 years? I mean, like I said, a lot of people are disappointed, and rightly so with the Minister of Health and the performance in the last 4 years. What do you think will happen, but what do you want to see happen?
We are losing two things in the health sector. We are losing the infrastructure, we are losing the manpower. Manpower is that most Nigerians now, once they qualify as a doctor, the next thing is to seek for greener pasture, either in Canada or in Europe. That means they do not have confidence anymore in our system. That means they need a better welfare package. It is really important for us to take care of our doctors. I've seen doctors, one single doctor in an hospital, he might probably be the only specialist attending to 1,000 people in a week. So even himself, he will not be mentally balanced to attend to people. So that means we need to encourage people to stay back in Nigeria. That means we need to give them better pay, better allowances. Sometimes they give them 5,000 naira as hazard allowance in a month. Doesn't make sense. You don't have 5,000 that is even that's $15. So it doesn't make sense. We have to increase their pay, make the profession, make it worth the risk. One. The secondly, also we have to invest in our infrastructure. Everywhere the community health centers are they are nothing to write home about. They are a bunch of, and funds are being budgeted every year. Contracts are being given out, but the job are not being done. And under the Millennium Development Initiative, health is part of the focus. But if you visit all these villages and towns,
but those are not under the federal government. No, so sometimes the state governments also.
Yes, no. Funny enough, it's not even about. We should not center the entire thing around the federal government alone, because most of the health centers now are to be maintained and supervised by the government and local government. First, for the community health centers, which are supervised by the local government, we do have a local government system present in Nigeria now. It's non-existent. For the state government, the state hospitals are also in comatose. And the federal government is not even doing anything to empower and to equip the federal hospitals that should be specialists and should be research institutions across the country.
Oh, boy. 4 years. Hopefully better things ahead. Looking forward to Mr. President's new cabinet. Like I say every week, hopefully it doesn't happen by November.
And we don't have a new health minister that tells us that we have too much.
But that wasn't even the health minister.
No, sorry, the labor minister telling us we have too much doctors in the country, and they have to.
Well, fingers crossed. Hopefully, the years ahead will be better. Thanks for being here today. Like I always say, you can follow the conversation on Twitter. YNigerTV is the handle. The hashtag to follow is Rubbin. You can visit the website YNiger.tv. Thanks for joining us. I'll see you next Sunday.